I read and want to talk about Dinner for Vampires, which is Bethany Joy Lenz's new memoir that came out recently. I believe she was a character on One Tree Hill. I literally never watched that show, so I know nothing about her beyond what I've read in this memoir. But I definitely recommend this one. I picked it up because it talks about, or it's like touted as like her life in a cult when she was on a cult TV show is like kind of their hook. And I definitely think that it delivers on that. Like I said, I knew absolutely nothing about her going in, but I was immediately interested in the story because it's written really, really well. And jumps right in and talks about how she gets roped into a cult. I did listen to the audiobook of this, and I think that that is how I would recommend you consume this book because it's read by her. And I honestly think anytime a memoir is read by the author, it's just going to mean more, rather than, like reading it on paper or whatever. Like, it feels like she's telling you the story. And I think like this is a really good book about cults and like a memoir about cults because a lot of times I I watch a lot of like true crime and cult documentaries, and I think a lot of times we, like as viewers, kind of sit around and are like, wow, how could they have been so gullible, and how could they fall for that? I would never fall for that. And I think that this novel definitely like really like cleanly and like smoothly outlines like how progressive the brainwashing was, and how like it didn't go from like, I sign up and I attend one church session to like the next day I give up everything I own and like, my husband controls me. Like that's not how it worked. And I think that Bethany does a really good job of explaining and kind of walking you through the brainwashing that takes place over time. It really is gradual. It's like a lot of little things that add up. And, I definitely, having read this, like, am able to empathize a little bit more with cult people, just with cult like victims, just because, like, again, it's not all at once. It's not like we flip the switch and we're totally different. And and in a lot of cases, like especially with Bethany, like she just had good intentions, right? Like she just went into this group wanting to like be a strong Christian and live by her beliefs. And unfortunately, we just have these people who take advantage of those folks and twist it. So I think it really does a good job of like getting you to understand like what that gradual mindset takeover was. Even more than like some really great other like documentaries about cults, like the one about Nexium, The Vow, that does a good job of like explaining to you how it takes place over time. But this one, I almost like, because Bethany went into this group as a Christian, just like wanting to live her Christian values. Um, like I think I can relate to that more because I did grow up Christian. I'm no longer, but that seems more understandable that she would end up in a cult rather than like the folks who like were in Nexium. Or I'm watching the new one on HBO about uh the Kundalini yoga lady. Like those are wilder concepts for me to relate to. So if you are ever struggling with like cult stories and like, oh my gosh, how did they fall for that? I really think you should check out this memoir, because I think if you grew up Christian or are still Christian, you're going to understand a little bit better. Overall, I gave this 5 stars. I mean, it's really like hard to rate a memoir, but I will say I like it's 5 stars because of how well done it is. There are some memoirs that I've read that like I just don't know that the writing is that good, and it wasn't chronological order, things like that. This one I think is really, really worth your time.